Everyone would come back. Our village meeting is now in session.
Yep.
Everyone would come back. Our village meeting is now in session.
Okay, Mr. Keys. Need a flag?
Yes, sir.
You know the words?
I think I remember them, yes.
I'm even gonna stand up. So why? Go ahead.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, and welcome to the April 6th budget hearing. Before we get started, Ron, if we have an emergency, you have to go out the back door.
Got it.
Once you get out the back door, you can't get in your car, get in my car.
I have it going here. but-
Exactly. Exactly. Patty? You want to read the whatever?
You got it. Please take notice that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Patchogue, New York has filed the tentative budget for the fiscal year 2020-21 with the undersigned village clerk at her office in said village, and that on the 6th day of April 2020 at 6 p.m., the Board of Trustees will hold a public hearing in Village Hall for, well, that's not true, remotely, to consider the budget objections and to hear objections of any person in relation thereto. Copy of said tentative budget is available at the office of the village clerk, Village Hall, 14 Baker Street, Patchogue, New York, where any person may inspect it during office hours. The maximum annual compensation proposed to be paid to each of the Board of Trustees from all sources is as follows. Mayor, $48,000, trustees, $15,000, dated March 26, 2020, submitted Patricia M. Seal, village clerk.
Thank you. I'm gonna make a couple of comments and start to get into the budget. Last night, I was working on my notes for tonight's budget hearing. Given the circumstances, nothing sounded right. So I stopped for an Oreo cookie and a glass of milk in hopes of finding the right words. I am a member of the Patchogue Lions and have been for 40 years. I started to read the Lions' current newsletter and found the words. They were written by Lions President Bob Sullivan, for him I thank. Hoping, as he stated, hoping you and your families, friends, and loved ones are healthy and safe. It's amazing how our lives and livelihoods have changed in such a short time. The coronavirus has directly and indirectly impacted nearly every facet of our lives, and it is no doubt causing anxiety, fear for each of us in our global community. We have learned more about social distancing and personal hygiene practices than we thought we could ever be possible, but we all hope that they will help us flatten the curve and quickly put this pandemic in our rearview mirror. Please join me and many of us in following village trustees and village board, following these principles. If you aren't, please start now. We have started some new routines to deal with these social distancing practices and have successfully initiated a video and audio conference board meetings. We held our first virtual board meeting on March 23rd, and the minutes are available online. This form will help us stay connected and conduct business. I have served the village government for over 26 years. The last 16 years have been a result of hard work, but exciting work, and have created a vibrant community. I believe the next 4 years will match the last 16 to get us back financially and emotionally. But it will be much more difficult and much more trying on the board and the community. One of my primary goals 16 years ago was to strengthen the village's financial position. That meant managing and controlling taxes while building a surplus. Remember when your mother said to you, save for a rainy day? We have, and the money we have saved over the years has protected the village from those rainy days. Hurricane Irene, Superstorm Sandy, and many other things. It was a surplus that kept us from borrowing or raising taxes to cover the cost to rebuild or to purchase. And today, there's a coronavirus. This year's and next year, 2 years' budgets, at the least, are going to be challenging at best, but we are prepared for this rainy day. Next year, tax rate will be 1.71%, or an average of $33.75 per year per average household. Even with a revenue shortfall caused by the coronavirus of 200,000 projected as a shortfall for the remainder of this year, this current budget, and a projected shortfall of better than 750,000 for next year. We will be managing, adjusting the budget on a weekly basis. The strong surplus allows us to have matching funds needed for grants to take on large infrastructure projects without having to take on debt. And when we do borrow at a very low interest, many times under 2%. This doesn't happen on its own. It happens because of the hard work of the village board and through the oversight and direction of two people, our treasurer, Ron Korzik, and deputy treasurer, Emery Monty. They both say no to me on a regular basis. And Ron, don't say no when I ask you to start going over the budget. But Ron, would please get started. And
I learned to
give some
know
back-
from Ann, by the way.
Yeah.
Hi, guys. First, I want to say, I hope everybody's being safe, keeping away from other people, social distancing, and I hope everybody's family are fine. And I just hope you continue and just do what you have to do to stay safe. I'm going to give you some highlights of the budget. Total appropriations, which basically is our total budget, is $13,809,000. We are taking from our surplus $350,000 to bring down our. Well, I think they lost me on there.
Oh,
Was it my
Yeah,
mug?
yeah.
oh, no,
I'm only
You can
seeing, I'm only
Okay.
seeing Paul's iPad.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are fine. We have the tentative budgets shared on the screen.
Okay, so you can see me. Okay. So 350,000 is coming out of surplus to bring our tax rate down. And our total real estate tax levies are gonna be $8,565,000.
Sue, go to the next page.
There you go.
You're right.
That gives you a summary.
Yep, that's the summary page.
Total tax rate is 1603, which, as Paul said, is a tax rate increase of 1.71%. And if everyone, reads the paper, the tax cap is at 1.77. I'll give you some highlights of increases, decreases. Highway department salaries, $100,000 increase offset by $85,000 decrease in park salaries. Our health insurance went up 5%. Our total overall insurance went up 8%. Compensated absences about 110,000 increase for 2 upcoming retirements. And our off-street parking meters, $20,000 increase in maintenance because we own them now. Decreases, treasurer's office, a decrease of 22,000 due to Annie's retirement. Debt service, reduction of about 7.8% in bond payments. Storm sewers, 20% reduction for elimination of a part-time clerk. Workers' comp, reduction of 100,000 due to our improvement in our rating. Band payment reduced by 100,000. We were able to pay off that because we didn't use a lot of snow money. We didn't use any, matter of fact. Union raises 2%. We follow suit with all our employees. As Paul said, our tax rate increase is 1.71, and that relates to about $33.75 a year per resident, about $2.81 a month. I think it's important to note that this is the budget that we made before this pandemic hit us. We had no idea this would happen. These numbers, depending on when this thing starts to go away, our fiscal year starts June 1st. We do have some time for this to kick in, so hopefully a lot of these numbers will be good, but it's important to understand that we've been building up a surplus for a long time. I think when the mayor started in office, the surplus was about $200,000. Right now, after we take this 350 out, it's probably gonna be about 3.2 million, which is about 22%, 23% of our total budget, which is a good place to be because of this very situation. If we need money, we have a place to go. A lot of other villages don't have a place to go. And it's important that we are very careful with the surplus and we don't use it for things that we don't need, but we have it. And it's making us a stronger village. So that's all I have. Again, the average homeowner will pay about $34 a year more, $2.81 a month more, but without increasing the base at all, we couldn't do a thing. Can't do roads, we can't do what we have to do with our infrastructure. So it's important that we do increase our taxes a slight amount. It's probably less than our cost of living increase this year. But, you know, we're here for the village residents and we want to do the right thing. And we can't do the right thing unless we have money to work with. So I thank you all and I wish you good luck and be safe. It's up to you, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Ron.
Thank you.
You know, there are certain unavoidable costs. When we first took office in 2004, and I've said this probably at every budget hearing that we've had for the last 7 or 8 years, we paid $54,000 for retirement. When the crash hit in 2008, that number has climbed to up over $650,000. So you wonder, and we did that in the tax cap year. We managed to put that together. Yeah, we reached the cap a number of times, but now you know where the money went. My sense is because of the retirement is based upon not contributions by employees, but primarily the stock market. We could see a double-digit increase next year.
Yep.
That 650 could very easily be $800,000. And when you watch the news at night and you hear them talking about hospitals and medical care for the coronavirus, we added 2% into the budget, a 3% increase. My sense is $1.4 million, $1.5 million medical benefits, of which employees do contribute, will probably go up again. That will probably go up double digits also, either this year or the coming year after that. So those are the things, the unforeseen, that we may not have foreseen when we started to put together the surplus that we did, but it's part of what it is. New York State, we typically get what's called AIM funding, which is aid for municipalities, about 100 grand. We also get CHIPS funding, which is for highways, about 125, sometimes as high as 150, depending upon the year. So say it's $250,000. The governor was very clear, the state's going bankrupt. And he has always taken from as far down as he can go. He's not going to take from above. He's going to take from us. And I could see that 250 not coming to fruition also. So this is going to be a very tough year, but a very manageable year for us. I'd like to ask Trustee Krieger, any comments? You're on mute.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to add a few things on there, just to illustrate a little bit more money that we're not taking in as revenue. With parking, since we've suspended parking meters over the past, I guess it's been about 2 weeks now, 2-3 weeks. And we expect those numbers we expect the meters to be down for a few more months. I expect that we will lose about $40,000 a month in parking meter revenue. Does that sound right to you, Mr. Mayor?
That's about where it's at. We ended up between 450 and 500,000, so that's about 40 grand on a given month.
Yeah, and not only that, violations too, you know, add violations on.
Huge. Yep.
So we're losing that revenue. Also, people are aware now that the theater is closed down for a few more months, probably until September. We get a couple dollars for each ticket sold at the theater, which we will not see. And the village will be taking over some of the duties there as far as security goes. They're gonna have somebody checking on it on a daily basis, morning and evening. And doing all, which we do currently. We've always handled the maintenance there, and you know, we're going to continue to keep the theater as a priority as far as the building goes, and to make sure that everything is running properly the next few months. So those are the two things that I have. And you know, as far as the theater go, just to clear up, you know, some of the misconceptions out there about the theater. We had to protect, as a member of the theater board, just to let everybody know, the village does not run the theater, so it's not like our people are there. But we do, you know, as a member of the theater board, we had to protect the finances of the theater. And we laid off the entire staff was laid off, unfortunately, because we don't see anything happening there for the next few months. And the money is not there to pay salaries and benefits. So luckily, we're going to pay for benefits for the next 2 months, so people will be protected. But it was a very difficult decision to make as a member of the theater board. And we just hope that the people who were affected will have, you know, better luck, you know, finding another job and getting all the benefits that they deserve as far as unemployment goes. But the board tried every avenue that they could and tried every calculation they could to keep the staff. Unfortunately, it didn't work out, and it was not an easy decision. It was a very difficult decision, and I wish everybody who had to deal with that situation better luck. Good luck in the future. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Trustee Farrar.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everyone. I've just got a few comments, and I want to say thank you to the residents who did send in questions. Got a few. Most of them were captured by a question that Mary Kastner put in, which was what kind of scrutiny, this is kind of abstract, but what kind of scrutiny did we put the budget to in the process of developing it? And I want to compliment Ron and Anne Marie, because they put a sharp pencil to this budget. First of all, our top line number, the general fund for this year, is 1% less than it was last year. Okay, our taxes are going up, but the top line number is actually $150,000 less than it was last year. And I invite you to go through the budget line by line. You'll see the increases in the budget are almost exclusively in personnel. Now, I don't resent anybody getting a raise. You know, inflation just eats away at our buying power constantly. But we do have some contracted raise increases. Over half of our employees are in a union, and they negotiated some years ago. Paul can tell us how long ago, a 2% annual raise. And that is the biggest increase in our budget, and it's a commitment that, you know, we will honor. There are some other things in the budget, but those are the most important things that I found. And again, you know, the documents online, you can go through it, look at last year versus this year. You'll see Annie got a scalpel out and really tighten things up as much as she possibly could. That's really all I have. Thank you.
You know, on the point to questions, if anybody out there has questions, they can email them to Tom, you'll get a response and they will be posted. Your question will then be posted unless you request it. It's not, will then be posted on the village's website for others to see. We will only address questions that have name, address, and our village residents. I'm not going to spend any time dealing with questions from guy from East Cupcake. If you live in the village, you have the right to ask the questions. Trustee Devlin. Lori, you got it.
Hi, I had to unmute. Yeah, I just want to say good evening to everybody and the viewers out on YouTube. Hopefully, we've got a good audience out there, and want to thank Annie and Ron and Tom for their hard work on this budget. And I think they've done an excellent job. And I was really proud of this budget, and it was so exciting to be where we're at with it, and then to have the COVID throw a monkey wrench into things going forward. But that being said, I just wanted to give everybody an update on what's going on with some of our other cultural assets here in the village that the village doesn't directly contribute to, other than to give them necessary in-kind types of support. And as Paul says, a little rah-rah. So the Plaza Cinema is currently closed, as they must be. But if you love film and you'd like to support them, go on their website. They're participating with other cinemas from across the United States. And there are current films that can be streamed for a cost, and they will get a percentage of that. And you can watch a brand new movie in your living room and support Plaza Cinema at the same time. The Patchogue Arts Council is seeking to develop virtual programming to keep its audience and artists engaged. And at the same time, I'm working with them, and as is Trustee Ferb, working with them to secure emergency funding from both private and government sources. So that's an ongoing venture. The gallery is closed right now, but the lights are on, so you can take a peek in and see the current exhibit. But it's a very challenging time for arts organizations across the United States. We hope we get through this. So I have no other comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Keys.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, fellow board members, viewers, and residents. I know it's a budget hearing. I just wanted to make one additional note. You mentioned social distancing, the importance of it. Last meeting, I think I reminded parents to try to talk to their kids about not congregating, when they're out riding their bikes and social distancing. Tonight, I'd like to remind kids, maybe go home and remind your parents, because we've noticed it down at like the tennis courts and pickleball courts and the ball fields. While they're playing a sport which allows, obviously, for social distancing, afterwards congregating at the net and at the gates and talking about how well they did, how poorly they did. So just a reminder that it applies to everyone, and it's so important. It's been working so far. Patchogue's tough. Patchogue perseveres, and I think we can beat this if we all follow guidelines established for us. As far as the budget, Mr. Mayor, and the parks program, while we're held captive a bit by the virus, as of now, we are planning, all programs in a go system. And I do, by the way, want to echo Lori, the thanks to Anne Marie and Ronna and Tom. I know you guys have worked real hard on this budget. I know seriously you take it, and we should be proud of you. You guys did a great job. Thank you for your efforts. As far as the Parks and Rec program, we are planning as of today, going forward, depending, of course, on what happens, with this virus over the next few weeks. We look at some things that, if it ever came to it to cut, I know we have a $5,000 celebration line. We would take a look at that, a $22,000 for the concert series. So there are some things that, if we're forced to, we can look at. But as of now, we're hoping for the best, budget-wise and virus-wise. So, Mr. Mayor, I believe that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Trustee Brinkman.
Good evening, everyone. Just a note, I want to thank Ron and Anne Marie and Tom for all your hard work on this budget. You really did pull together and tighten it up as best as it could be, and I appreciate all of your efforts. I also want to send out a huge thank you to all our first responders and all the nurses and doctors and hospital staff that are working so hard with all of the people that are currently sick in our community. I thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I hope that everyone else can stay safe and avoid this. horrible illness. Just one note that we are seeing a great decline in our building permits right now. It's going to be a consequence of this time, that the amount of work has stopped. So we are going to see a decline in that in our budget amounts as well. So it has negatively impacted us in the building department. The housing department is up and running very well. We have dedicated staff there led by Marion Russo, doing a fantastic job keeping all of our clientele safe during this time, even though they're experiencing some detrimental effects from this as well. So thank you, everyone.
Susan, are you dealing with Marion and the COAD at all?
Yes.
What it does?
Yes, so COAD is our emergency response in our community. We were active today at St. Francis's Food Pantry. I was there with Ryan McGarry and several other community members, and we were packaging food for families. And we'll be doing so again on Friday. So we are all working together. There was also a conference call that Marion Russo did lead today with the Chamber of Commerce and a host of other active community members to make sure that all of the resources that people are offering and volunteers and the people that are in the most need, everybody can be connected together to make sure that everything is put to the right use.
I know that she, I know that the COAD under Marion Russo, they've been contacting and working with the Latino community also to provide services. So they have Spanish-speaking members that can help out. And I think Liz Carrillo, Angel Borgia, Javier Kinghorn, to name a few, very important people in the community. Trustee Felice.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good evening all. Hope as we're coming to you live right now that we find that everybody is well and feeling well. I just like to say at this time, I believe that this budget is a very realistic, it's very responsible, and that's thank you to Anne Marie and Ron and Tom, all the hard work that they do to crunch the numbers. I'd like to thank the mayor. He's always looking at different avenues to go through, and Annie's always shaking her head no, and Ron just grimaces, and but it gets done, and that's how things get done, and that's how, hey, listen, if you can agree to disagree, that's how you get it done. I just have three things I'd like to say. We have some big projects going on, one of which is underway, the sewer line update and expansion. Now that project is done at no cost to the resident. That is paid for by the sewer district only. So there's no cost to the resident for that expansion happening. I'd just like to say the Oak Street project, finally, it's going to start. Let's hope soon. This coronavirus really put a damper on things. That there is a state-funded project at 80%, and that costs the village, that's going to cost the village about 20%. The other thing is one more big project we have going on, and that's the spur at Lake Street and Northwest Avenue and down on Waverly Avenue. That's another big project, but that's funded 100% totally by Suffolk County. So that's at no expense to the village resident. I'd just like to say I hope everybody is well. Thanks for hanging in there. Hopefully we can see you in Village Hall soon. And I just really appreciate being here, being a part of this. I think this is such a great thing that we can come to you this way. And I want to thank Susan for all her hard work. She's really done a great job with this Zoom thing. At first, I didn't really understand it, but this is really an important thing. And this is really a great asset. And I just really want to thank all of you, Tom, Jack, Lori, Joe, Patty, Anne Marie, everybody that works in the village, and especially the mayor. I mean, it's really, it's really just a great thing, and I'm just happy to be a part of it. So, and like I said, I really believe this is a realistic and very responsible budget that we have going on here right now. So, thank you for that.
Sal, if
I
I could just
appreciate
give
your help.
Sorry.
Annie. Annie, you listened to this whole thing. What did we leave out?
I think you pretty much covered it all. It was a wonderful budget that I was really excited to present until all of this craziness went down.
Yeah.
But I think if we keep a really good look on the expenses all throughout the year, that we can hopefully offset a good portion of the revenues that won't come in. And we won't find ourselves too far behind the 8 ball, and maybe the following year we'll be able to make it all back up again.
Well, that's always been the game plan.
Annie, just thank you very much. I really appreciate your hard work. And
You're
Tom,
welcome.
it was great getting together you guys and work this thing out, because I think it turned out very well. So, thank you.
Sal, I just wanted to give a shout out to the sanitation guys especially. They're amazing. They've been amazing through this whole thing and working really
Yeah,
hard.
they work hard, those guys, and they really do. They really try. They really have stepped up, and I think they're doing a great job.
Thank
Thank
you.
You know, this has been a very difficult time all the way around for the board, for the employees, for the community itself. You know, Ron and I were talking earlier about sitting in a house and how crazy it can be. But I think that communities such as this, which is made up of families, and we have a community of families, comes together when it has to. Pat's comments were 100% correct. Department of Public Works, they're here. If you take a look at the streets, they were out picking up stuff, garbage today. People, the thing that they're finding is there's more garbage today than it typically is, because people are cleaning their basements, cleaning their garages. People are home. And what we've done for the residents to be able to start pulling their garbage cans out to the curb, what that allows us to do is only put 2 men on a truck. Typically, we have 3 men in a truck. So now you have 2, so at least they can sit apart from each other. Then we're going with 4 routes instead of 3 routes. So sometimes just the little things that make it. But each of these trustees has specific responsibilities, and that's what they took. The commissioners for, whether it's Jack, public safety in the theater, Lori with the arts, and zoning and planning with Sue. Tom, you heard him speak to the budget and economic development. Joe Keys, we gave him the easy ones because then he swings on the swings and he plays on the but Joe and Sal, we talked about the DPW. And then we end up with the staff that makes it all work, which is Annie on the financial side and Patty on the clerk side. Without them there, what we do doesn't happen. And I want to thank everybody, and I want to hope the community understands what we need to do, because we understand the pressure they're under, both financially and socially. And we can take care of most things. And hopefully we'll be able to shrink this budget and be made whole by this time next year. Everybody have a great holiday.
Do we need a motion
We
to
just
accept?
need a motion in a second.
I'll make a motion to accept the budget.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody want the motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Bye.
Thank-
Bye.
Thank you, everybody. Great night.
Happy
Anybody
Easter.
anybody have?
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
All right.
Thank you.
Take care.
Happy
Thank-
Easter.
Stay healthy.
Thank you, Susan.
everyone.
Stay healthy.
Everyone.
Yep, absolutely.
Good job.
In a bad way to do it.
Right, let's do things this way next year.